I said, well, can we remove it? He goes, no, because it's so close to the spine, the scar tissue and all this stuff. If I remove it, you'll probably be in a wheelchair. Okay, I kind of freaked me out for a day or two. Then I forgot about it for many, many years. Till, I had Timothy Cullen on my show. Then I started thinking a little bit. But then me and Michael started talking, Michael W. Hall. And then things started clicking in my head, because here's one thing that's weird. One of my sons got in trouble. I had to go to Superior Court every month or a year. Every time I went in, I don't care which door I went into the big courthouse in Pierce County, the alarm would go off. They would have me virtually stripped down. And, and the alarm, the main alarm would go off. Their wands would go off, always in the middle of my back. Okay, I thought that was really strange. And I didn't really, again, I kind of brushed it off, at that point, I was out of radio for a while, so I wasn't doing a talk show. So I kind of whatever. Then some more strange things started happening. I went to get on an air flight at one point to go to Atlanta to an electronic trade show. Well, it went so far, the alarms went off. They, checked me with their wands. Then I had to go into a little special room, which is rather embarrassing. Okay. Again, didn't think anything of it other than I couldn't figure out. I sat all these years trying to figure out how could a piece of metal, especially the size of it, what he described it as the size, like a rear end of a car, the bearing.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not round. They're flat bearings. Round, flat, long bearings.
Oblong.
Yeah, needle bearings. And he said that's what it looks like. And up till here recently, I didn't even think anything of it. Till I started thinking about that night, 1974 in the desert, that bright light. It only seemed like it lasted a couple seconds. How do I know it lasted only a couple seconds? How do I know I wasn't abducted? I don't. And I don't know to this day how I got this piece of metal in the middle of my back, right next to the spinal cord.
Yeah. Well, that's when it comes to those tracking devices, or for lack of better words, has somebody gotten, and it was with the powers on up, it could be dormant, maybe it's going to be active, but use some type of testing device on it. Simple way of doing this is get a compass, handheld compass, have somebody put it to the middle of your back, see if you have any movement on that compass. There's other types of meters that you can. I got
that all scheduled in because my curiosity is way up. Now,
okay.
Another little story here. Michael W. Hall. He took some of the members of the UFO I-Team to Mount Adams. They were making a movie about Bigfoot, and then he and his group were, looking for UFOs. That's what they do. So late at night, they were out there with all their fancy equipment, trying to, see UFOs. Now, something strange happened. Something came overhead, kind of stopped a bright light that other witnesses of the members of the group said off the side of it, it kind of like a blue laser shot out. Okay. Now that part was kind of interesting. Now, some of their stories, I did debunk part of it. Now, a couple of things that happened. Okay. One of the guys, because it got really cold. I mean, we're talking about near zero in August on Mount Adams. They got in their cars, some of the people. And the one guy had a 2-year-old Toyota. And, he was in there with his son. It would get cold. He would start it for a few minutes, then shut it off, start it, and all of a sudden the car wouldn't start. Well, I debunked that as, hey, it's a 2-year-old car. The battery could be marginal. Temperature dropping down. It can't put the current can't flow. As it warmed back up, then, in the morning, it started right up. I debunked that part. Now, here's the strange part. The car in the morning became magnetized. north and south, big time. Now, they also have had that car checked out by the dealer. The dealer has come out and said, this car is magnetized. In fact, the dealer went to a lot of the new cars in their lot looking the same thing, seeing if they could find any other car like that. They couldn't find it. Now, the car has become more magnetized since that incident. Now, here's the other thing. Michael W. Hall slept in a camp trailer with somebody else, and he uses a sleep path machine to be able to sleep at night. Now, all of a sudden, at an hour and a half into it, it stopped working. Okay. They woke up. His friend said, "Okay, I'll change the battery," because he had other batteries, marine batteries. Swapped the battery out. And Michael says, well, while you're doing that, I'm going to go to the bathroom and go pee. Okay, so he was gone, he said, about 3 minutes. Now he comes back into the tent. He wakes up Kevin, and Kevin, he goes, well, what, you already got it done? And Kevin goes, yeah, I've been sleeping for a while. Turned out he was sleeping for like an hour and a half, while Michael just went to the bathroom to go pee and come back. There was an hour and a half totally lost. To back it up, his machine shows when it stopped and when it started. It has a computer on it.
Yeah. It
matched perfectly. Now, in the morning, he had a pyramid, triangle, whatever on his wrist of marks, 4 marks. He kind of thought that was kind of strange. Now, going into this, what's happened now is that he's wearing boots with that has steel toe. On his left side, I believe, I could be wrong, it could be on the right, his shoe was magnetized, the steel toe part, which now... We were sitting here, I was interviewing him on the show, and we were talking about this. And I said, do you still have your compass and stuff around? He goes, yeah, I got a compass. And he went and got his compass, right? I said, now put it on your left wrist. And the thing went crazy. He put it on his left boot he had. It went crazy. Now he goes to his right boot, it doesn't do anything. He goes to his right wrist, doesn't do anything. Goes back to the left wrist, it goes crazy.
Interesting.
Now, he also wears a watch that has fluorescent letters on it, numbers on it, that on a bright day, you go in the dark, and for about 20, 30 minutes, it'll hold the light, and you can read it, and then it fades out. Now, supposedly all this time while he was in there sleeping, right, when he did wake up, the thing was bright as it could be, and it was still dark. And now I find that really, really strange. I mean, if you think about it, a car became magnetized, which wasn't before. And then, Michael, loss of time for about an hour and a half. Totally can't account for it. I mean, how long does it take you, as he said, to walk out of the camper trailer? Next to it, they had a porta potty with a curtain around it. He went pee, went in there to go to bed, and it's an hour and a half difference.
Yeah. Gosh, I'd love to go to that spot, after it's, days on after, and see if I get any readings on any of my meters, and even take the old Geiger and see what I got there.
And they did that. The next morning they moved the car. They got their equipment out again because they're really into this stuff. So they have all this equipment, right? Nothing is showing where the car was. No compass changes, no anything with Geiger counter, no nothing. Just normal. They go back to the car and everything goes crazy.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Now, just by chance, was there any like maybe 2 spots on the car where it was very, very active? The reason I'm asking is because I'm going back to what happened to Betty and Barney Hill's car.
And what the front was. At the start, it was the front. And then it migrated to the back and became south and north pole, like a regular bar magnet. That's how the car turned into.
One of the things about Betty and Barney Hill's car they could not account for was in the back of the trunk there was two spots that did not make sense with the way the magnetic field was on those two spots, with the way the compass spun around at these two spots. And this lasted for about 6 months, and then that energy ceased. And this. Do you recall what date it was? I'm always trying to put
I think it was either the 27th or the 28th. It was one of those 2 nights. Now, also when that blue light came out, that light pulsated for a second and did a flash, real bright flash. And then they saw some of the people saw a blue light come off the side of it. And I'm just wondering if at that point, that's maybe it could have been a UFO, because they certainly said it was absolutely no sound. No sound of a helicopter, no sound of a plane, no nothing. It was totally quiet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of par for the course as far as not having any sound, and then with that flash, that's in essence lights out Irene. You end up being stunned. Or time changes. You're put into some type of hypnosis, for lack of a better word, and that's when things are done, and has something to do with the frequency and the flash of that light. Yeah, there was this man who had this happen to him. Did he have bloody noses after that, or even years before that? I'm just thinking that maybe there is some type of chain of events that are linked to this man.
No, but you might, when you get a chance, you might go on and listen to, it'll be the show, it says Interview with Michael W. Hall.
Okay.
And listen to the whole show, because we devote probably a good half an hour to it. And I'll tell you, we even extended the show because it got more freaky, because, he never even thought about using the compass on his wrist till I mentioned it. The same with the boot. And that's, it's just the whole thing. I could see going to the bathroom, but if you're standing up going pee, right, versus sitting down, I mean, how long does it take? Walk 10 feet from the camper trailer to a porta potty and then walk back, and you lost an hour and a half?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, and when people do have these type of encounters, as far as cars stopping, and again, too, with the magnetic field that the craft is using or the beings are using, that usually kills the car engine or does something to the battery. And sometimes after an encounter, the battery's only going to have so much life, and then it completely is dead. And that's very, very interesting. I'd love to. Did anybody use any dowsing rods in the area and see? Because sometimes, calibration, people are going to complain about the calibration of this or that. Dowsing rods, if you got the feel for it, if you're good, those are old reliable, old faithful.
Yeah, I don't know if they did or not, but I tell you, I mean, that was so eerie, and it just to me, that's one of the things that, I've talked to people who claim they've been abducted, and it's always the loss of time, weird things that ended up to it just before it. The pattern of this really sounds like abduction to me. So
one of the things about this is I'm always curious about the previous pattern or the pattern that starts after this, because people that have had these type of, outrages, because it's, or whatever you want to call it, abductions, kidnappings, they tend to be overpowered